So, what do you think of the celebrities that have entered the jungle this year?
Celebrities? I think you'd be more well known than half those no-namers.
I think, as the makeup artist of a show on Channel 31, you'd be more than eligible. What are you doing here? Go to Africa! Well, Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews' 4-day trip to China caused a stir last week, with many of the details kept firmly under wraps. Touted as an opportunity to discuss education and steady Australia-China relations, Andrews only gave notice of his departure the day before he left, with his itinerary released even later. The Premier also copped criticism for not taking along any journalists, with Andrews stating the visit would not be picture-friendly. If only they'd packed a ring light. Foxy Sky is one such journo who was overlooked to join the travelling party, and she joins me live. Now, Foxy, I should preface this interview by saying I need you to keep things civil. So no slander, no lies, no conspiracies about those steps in Sorrento, although it seems you're already seeing red.
Not so much red, Ren. More a medium rare shade of mustic pink.
Oh yes, well what a coincidence. Twinsies.
There's only room for one pink jacket at this desk.
Well, technically you're not at this desk. We're both in separate studios.
Is that so?
I think so, yeah.
We'll see about that.
Oh, where are you going? Okay, well, while we try to track down Foxy, let's head out and ask random strangers questions we don't really care about in the hope of getting some slightly amusing responses.
Thanks, Ren. I'm here at a villains and heroes themed party where I'm dressed up as the biggest villain of them all, a journalist. New South Wales, it's now Labor. It's a Labor state. All of mainland Australia, so essentially all of Australia, Labor. It's red. But Tasmania, still Liberal government. What other endangered species are hiding down there in Tasmania?
Tasmanian devils.
There are nuclear test facilities down there. There are mutant creatures.
Don't they have those tigers?
Oh, I have this recurring dream about a troll and a heap of jewels and a waterfall. So that would be nice. Yeah, maybe Mountfield National Park has a nice waterfall waiting for me.
But it's kind of like a sanctuary in that regard, you know? Everybody, the commies and the patriots all melding together.
I rebuke Satan in all of his forms, but I do believe that Satan is down there in Tasmania.
Maybe my dignity? Who knows where that's gone?
Liv, thank you very much for coming on The Struggle.
Thank you so much, Max.
Back to you, Ren.
Cathartic. Now let's dial up the drama as we survey the world through the eyes of our culture critic.
Oh, thanks, doll. Oh, how I laughed at a small US comedy release last week. I simply must share. TikTok goes to Congress. The film is set in America, land of the dim-witted comedy, as US Congress members hold a dramatic courtroom hearing to intellectually debate whether the villainous app TikTok should be banned due to data and safety concerns. Spoiler alert, the best scenes involved fossilized Congress members making absolute fools of themselves. Hilarious. There's this central character who, despite preaching to remove the app, doesn't know how Wi-Fi works.
Mr. Chu, does TikTok access the home Wi-Fi network?
A poorly evolved supporting character who simply doesn't understand how to let people actually answer his questions.
Have you directed them to change that source code?
Congressman, if you give me a bit of time to just
No,
explain
I don't. It's a yes or no question. Have you directed your engineers to change that source code?
I'm not sure I understand it.
Oh, and let's not forget the brief cameo introduced to the plot simply to insist American children are in a psychological warfare.
The Chinese Communist Party is engaged in psychological warfare through TikTok to deliberately influence U.S. children.
In fact, TikTok goes to Congress could be summed up as a bunch of white people so paranoid about an app they probably don't know how to open that they spend 5 excruciating hours attacking a Singaporean man who they think is from mainland China. This film highlights that some people just aren't as clever as they think, but it did make me laugh, and I shall be giving it 3 TikTok thirst traps of Mr. Chu out of 5. Where's that other wine bottle I put? Here we go.
Thirsty work. Well, speaking of out-of-touch tech laggards, if you thought AI software ChatGPT was killing the art of writing, Adobe is priming the grave of actual art. The bougie Microsoft Paint recently hopped aboard the generative AI train by introducing its newest program, Adobe Firefly, helping artists and designers by being an ethical solution that is not at all created to replace them. But Firefly isn't the first AI image generator to spark controversy in the art community. Other examples of AI-generated art reveal jumbled artists' signatures and remnants of original art pieces, with others accusing AI art of copying their distinctive styles without attribution or consent. So, can AI replace real artists? Well, if it looks like art, sounds like art, and is just as expensive as art, then it's probably art. For more on death by tech, let's cross to our bringer of joy Thursday Eve to tell us what's on in Melbourne.
Greetings, suburbanites. I bring good news. The National Gallery of Victoria has finally presented an exhibit for the whole family, where you and the kids can experience death. Fun for children of all ages, you put on a virtual reality headset to experience firsthand what it's like to die in a range of scenarios. While virtual reality isn't as good as a lived experience, I suppose this is a good substitute for those unacquainted. You can experience any death you desire, including brain death, or my personal favorite, cardiac arrest. This is called Passing Electrical Storms, but I hardly think that does the gallery justice. It's a completely inappropriate name for a wedding venue.
Oh, what an uplifting story. Well, we're off to a quick break. Top of the morning to you. Well, over to the US, where the explosion of a chocolate factory has resulted in an unfortunately sticky situation. Police are urgently calling for witnesses as CCTV footage has emerged of a tall, top-hatted man wearing a purple suit leaving the premises. Forensic sketch artists have released these images of the suspect. We hear from Sergeant Yolanda Arrest, who is leading the investigation.
Good evening. We have called this press conference to announce police are reopening a cold case following years of dedicated advocacy from a Mrs. Gloop whose child Augustus disappeared at a chocolate factory in 1964.
Is this the same Mrs. Gloop who instigated a class action with Mr. Sol and Mr. and Mrs. TV?
Yes, it's fair to say Mrs. Gloop has dedicated her life to seeking justice ever since the infamous child neglect case known as the Wonka chocolate tragedy, at the centre of which was a man named Willy Wonka. Mrs. Gloop has also taken offence to the recent description changes of her son's body in the media, from enormously fat to just enormous.
Why reopen the case?
Mr. Willy Wonka has been on our radar for a while, from historical crimes of breaches to food, health and safety standards, missing children and the abduction and enslavement of little people. He's attempted to lay low but has come to police attention again in 1971 and in 2005. Witness reports now place a man resembling Mr. Wonka at the scene of the exploded chocolate factory in the US, causing police to speculate he will reoffend sometime this year.
Willy Wonka has always been such a hero. Are you saying you're asking us to apply a modern lens to reevaluate?
I can neither confirm nor deny anything, that's all I can say on this matter at the moment, but we urge anyone with information to contact Crime Stoppers.
Oh, right. Well, time to get prim and proper now as we cross to our royal correspondent, Princess Anne.
No need to curtsy, Ren. I won't lie, it's been another awkward week here with you-know-who turning up to whinge about the papers. But I've got much bigger things on my mind. You see, I had a quick peruse of our Pacific colony, Terra Australis, and was shocked to see the whole country seems to have fallen to communists of some sort. Brought back some terrible memories from the 70s. You see, the whole of mainland Australia is governed by the Labour Party, making it a little too left-leaning for my liking, because you know what that means? Republicans. What a despised word in my family there is not, apart from Andrew or Megan or income tax, but I digress.
Despite what those colonials and communists might fantasise, as a constitutional monarchy, Australia is still one of ours and shall be dealt with accordingly. So I went to give one of our regional operatives a tingle. Operatives is just a family phrase. The colonials call them a Governor-General. But woe betide me, Sir John Kerr had recently passed. 1991 feels like yesterday. Now Sir John could be trusted to do his duty. He sacked that red bastard Whitlam in 1975 after all. Not before that bloody commie made university free, started Triple J, established Medicare, ended military conscription. Gosh, lucky Kerr got to him before he could do any more damage. Like, recognise China. Though he did. Bugger. But he couldn't beat us, although he tried.
Well may we say, God save the Queen. But of course nothing will save the Governor-General.
But they're still there, although none of the 9 Governor-Generals since Kerr have served so admirably. They're barely memorable. I doubt those Australians could name them either. Although Hurley did do a good salute, and Quinton certainly upped the ante. Governor-Generals just haven't been the same since Kerr.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, any little noises that you may happen to hear are only static. It's just something wrong with the system.
Giddy up.
Enlightening. Now let's check in on workplace relations in Australian politics with independent MP for Kuyong, Dr. Monique Ryan.
Scalpels down, everyone, and stethoscopes aside. I'm talking now. It should come as no surprise to any of you that I plan to be Australia's next Prime Minister. You don't need to be a neurosurgeon to read my mind. It is important to me that I can be a Prime Minister that appeals to all generations. So I have decided to rebrand myself. The youth seem to love Kevin 07 and Kevin 747. So without further ado, I would like you all to meet Dr. Monique 24/7 Ryan. Just to clear up any confusion, the 24/7 refers to how often I expect my staffers to work. There are to be no breaks, sickness, holidays or leave of any kind if they are to fulfil their ultimate quest of making me Australia's next PM. I made my expectations about the hours my staff are expected to work abundantly clear from day one. So you could imagine how caught off guard I was when one of them said they couldn't commit and would only be working the hours they were being paid for. I dealt with that act of defiance like any other boss would, by forcing that employee to immediately resign. The truth is, I didn't enjoy pulling the rug from under that former employee, but I had to do it to ensure I achieve my ultimate goal of becoming Australia's next Prime Minister. The former staffer tried to crawl their way back, calling on a federal judge for help, but they were ultimately unsuccessful. See this as a warning to anyone who plans to get in my way of becoming the next PM. Dr. Monique 24/7 Ryan will not stand for any resistance or defiance. Get back to work.
Dr. Monique 24/7 Ryan, advocate for a healthy work-life balance. Now let's see what's in vogue with our resident fashion nun.
Hi sisters. In the past weeks, everyone's favourite at-home faith healer, Sister Gwyneth Paltrow, has been meeting with a higher power. No, not God. She could only wish. But with the judge, in a wig. Paltrow finds herself being sued for $300,000 in damages after allegedly invoking God's wrath and wrote herself into the Book of Numbers when colliding with a former optometrist during a skiing incident. But who cares about the legality issues? The real case on trial here is her costumes. Dropping her usual unbecoming bohemian style, Paltrow has decided to don the luxurious, God-honouring knits and neutrals whilst greedily giving free promo to her own brand, G Label by Goop, with this white belted cardigan after using a vagina-scented candle. Let's not forget the accessories either. Gwyneth's court appearance is plagued with chunky gold jewellery, a jaw-dropping collection worthy of making Pope Francis think about updating his own. Gwyneth also graced the courtroom with an interesting pair of glasses, perhaps to mock the plaintiff with his former occupation. You know what they say, Gwyneth. Whoever mocks the poor mocks his creator. In fact, Sister G's mocking couldn't help but remind me of Sister Winona Ryder, who showed up to a shoplifting trial wearing Marc Jacobs after allegedly stealing from Marc Jacobs. Oh, the scandal. And now for some more ungodly fashion that has graced our courtrooms. During a heathenistic I want Drake to murder my vagina phase of 2013, Amanda Bynes appeared in court wearing the costume of a victim of the apocalypse, with a ratty blonde wig and some utterly sinful tracksuit pants. Really, Amanda? Couldn't put in some effort? Yes, but it seems Gwyneth has been to hair and makeup for her big day in court. Others, not so much. As it says in the Book of Judges, if thou swears an oath to God to tell the truth, the least you can do is to make sure you're dressing for God. Who knows, it might help with the verdict. The good book always has the answer.
Advice for life. Anyway, we're off to a quick break. Jolly good to see you again. Now time to check in on the world of international affairs.
This week, China's long-standing status as being an abusive partner continues. Gaslighting Taiwan, telling her what to do and who to see. So Taiwan can't meet the US, not even casually. It's just a transit through New York and Los Angeles. Chill! Taiwan broke up with China and it's been a while now. Honey, respect and let go. For good. There won't be true happiness between the two if China keeps on trying to assert his dominance over Taiwan. Give her some space to breathe before things turn violent and requires the need to call a couples counselor in. Even if Taiwan meets with other countries, they're only casual dates with no long-lasting prospects. Doesn't she deserve to be treated with decent respect? I hope this time China won't conduct the regular drill again just to scare Taiwan back to his arms. Toxic relationships, power imbalances, and coercive control. International affairs have it all.
Fractured feelings. Well, now time for a dose of corporate wellness.
I don't know about you guys, but my phone is always glued to my hand. From TikTok to Instagram to leaving hate comments disguised as constructive criticism on the YouTube channel of the girl who beat me to prom queen 8 years ago, my brain stays booked and busy online. Now apparently so much screen time is bad for you. I've been manifesting this level of fame for years. What do doctors know about getting 18 likes on Instagram and just waiting for Hollywood to come knocking at your door? And 3 of those likes were strangers, so the screen time feels great if you ask me. However, my doctor has recommended a dopamine detox. Scientists have been trying to prove the value of dopamine detoxes and having time away from your screen since 2019. But I swear I invented it, because crazy story, I actually put my phone down for 23 seconds every single night before I go to sleep. So if that isn't a detox, I don't know what is. Dopamine detoxes aren't just about technology. It's about anything that increases our dopamine levels. So excessive shopping, gambling, excessive gaming, emotional eating, and like drugs and stuff. I mean, that whole list is my entire personality, apart from the drug part. That's what got me banned on Instagram. But I swear it was a trend to take diabetes meds for weight loss. But when I do it, I get cancelled. But okay, I guess I'll try it. Is it over yet?
Not yet. Now, time for a check of the markets with Barry Martin.
Checking in on the Aussie markets today from the Man Cave. The big story this week is the huge rise in Chris Minzer stocks. The New South Wales Premier has skyrocketed, all the way from who is that to meh. Talk about a post-election honeymoon. Ooh, thanks Mama, I'll eat after. Meanwhile, Australian Olympian Peter Bol stocks have bounced back after an independent lab found that he had not taken any performance-enhancing drugs. This disproves Sport Integrity Australia's conflicted findings from earlier this year. Sounds like someone needs to get on the Sigma grind set. As Bolt says, it's not racist, it's just stupid. Looking to the international market, French President Emmanuel Macron's stocks dipped as French protesters held true to their word to burn Paris to the ground rather than work an extra 2 years before retirement. Bloody French communists making a big deal over something us Aussies would just take lying down. What's that? We have been. Sounds like a problem for those disgusting taxpayers I've heard of. Dad taught me how to avoid those things years ago. And that's finance. Mum, is Dad home? I need money to go out tonight.
Insightful. Well, seeing just how difficult the dating game is at the moment, let's cross to a local with more than her fair share of battle scars. Oh, guys, can someone tell me why all the people I've met on dating apps suck? I've tried Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, even had a go at Grindr. Didn't go well. Everyone's just down to do and dash with no strings attached. Why is everyone so afraid of strings? It's not like strings are that scary. People certainly like to get creative with handcuffs and rope in the bedroom, and they're arguably much more difficult to escape from. So why not give some strings a go? Today's hookup culture had me ready to give up on a lasting marriage when I finally discovered a string promoting platform. It's a new state-sponsored dating app in China that's trying to boost marriage rates. Yes, the Chinese government is helping citizens go on blind dates. How cute! A government so openly promoting love and a rapidly declining birth rate. The app takes all the data collected through China's social credit system, which keeps tabs on, well, everything. Habits, behaviours, spending patterns, occupations, what do you count? Pretty much everything. And then AI generates the perfect blind date. How romantic. I don't want my love written in the stars. I want it written in some cute code. It will be like getting a compatibility score from a modern texter. I wonder whether they match up spending habits on similarity or disparity, because I'm kind of looking for someone with a bit of cash to splash, you know? And I hope the AI doesn't match me up with someone who has my spending habits. Woo! Anyway, if I don't leave now, I'm gonna miss my flight. Can't wait for AI to help me fly. Good luck. Well, that brings us to the end of nothing.
Step aside, you in your pink jacket. Returning whence he came, Chairman Dan does it again. The long-known communist, CCP sympathiser and sole enabler of China to steal your TikTok data, Dan Andrews, aka Xi Jinping II. Old broken back is in tip-top health and jumped straight on a plane to his native homeland. The only reasonable explanation for this blatant holiday deception is simple. Dan's signing away Victoria. I obviously didn't expect nor desire an invite from that stooge, but the fact that none of his far-left media comrades at the ABC were allowed either has me suspicious. Dan doesn't want stronger connections with China. He wants to be China, and he wants you to be Chinese. He'll start with Victoria, and then, because all of mainland Australia is now governed by his Labor BFFs, he'll make the whole country communist. Well, I'll tell you what, if Dan Andrews wants Australia to be China, Tasmania can be our Taiwan. I'm pissed off. I'm angry. I'm sick of these Labor governments taking over. In my opinion, it's time to consolidate our forces in Tasmania. We've got to get the hell out of this hell-ridden, nightmarish, demon-Dan state. It's time to take a stand. In exactly 1 hour, I will be boarding the spirit of Tasmania, the spirit of freedom. For the sake of humanity and for what is right, I encourage you to do the same. Thus, Vidanya, communists.
The struggle is real.